Welcome to Packmates, a podcast about Magic the Gathering Limited, where we take a deep dive in the current limited format. The Packmates are a group of friendly card sharks who love drafting, hanging out, and going to F&M to get them dubs. This week we're talking about some draft decks, our favorite and least favorite uncommon signposts, and maybe just some general thoughts on the format. Don't forget to check out our Discord. The link is in the description. I'm Ryan, your resident aggro expert.
I'm Robi, your resident Dirtle expert.
And I'm Joel, your resident combo expert.
And
We are the Packmates.
Packmates.
Perfect.
All right. First up, we have my draft deck. I went Golgari. I went 3-0 and at F&M. I first picked Trash the Town, which is maybe not the best first pick, but it was a fairly weak pack. That's the 1-mana instant with Spree. Put 2/1/1 counters on a creature for 2 or more. Creature gains trample for 1 more, and until end of turn, if a creature deals combat damage to a player, you draw 2 cards for 1 more. So 5 for all of it. Then I got past Hostile Investigator, which I think that card is just nuts. Pack 1, pick 2. And that's the 4 mana. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent discards. And whenever opponent discards, you create a clue token. You investigate. It's like effectively a 3-for-1, right? Because they have to deal with the guy somehow. That card is super good. And then I pick 3, took the Hard Bristle Bandit, which is the 1/1 for 2 that taps for any color. And I just fairly hard committed to cutting green and picking up decent black cards. I just could play just big thing after big thing with my curve. I had just a ton of big things. I did have 3 fight, or I guess bite effects, and a Skullduggery as my only removal, so that could have been better. But the deck performed really well, and I was really happy with it. And I'm really high on Tumbleweed Rising still. I love that card. That's the 2 mana.
Fun. That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. 2 mana XX, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control.
Yeah. So if the only thing I have with that is when they can get the blowout, right? You don't really want to cast it when you've only got 1 creature and they have mana, obviously.
Right.
But there are times when you plot your paladin and then you cast your paladin on turn 5, you have a 2/2 as well. And then they kill your paladin response and you just get a 2/2. And it feels bad.
Yeah.
But whenever
Yeah.
you get, I'd say, a 3/3 or bigger, it feels pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah. It's
And I don't know that I've ever gotten a 3/3 off of it. It's always been bigger.
I feel like when you're playing against better players, though, they're going to realize that you've been, kind of off sequence a little bit, or if you ever plot it, you rarely plot it. But if you do, it's super obvious, right?
Yeah.
There are definitely times when I've held up removal because it felt like they were going to go creature Tumbleweed Rising, and they have, best of 3 more than best of 1, obviously. But
Sure.
I really like it in the decks with the Outlaws, like the 1 minute, the mercenary guys that you
Yep.
can tap and just make something absurdly big and copy it, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
yeah,
of
no,
it.
the biggest one Tumbleweed Rising I've made was a 2020, because I had Railway Brawler, and I plotted Railway Brawler, and then I cast Spinewoods Paladin, or I cast Railway Brawler, and then cast Spinewoods Paladin. I made a 10/10, and then the next turn I cast Tumbleweeds Rising, and I made a 10/10, which then doubled to a 20/20. So, needless to say, I won that game.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. I did hit Hollow Marauder with Hostile Investigator out twice, and that felt insane as well.
Yeah,
They discard, I draw, and make it a clue.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I had a deck where I had Thoughtseize and Hostile Investigator, and on turn 5 I went Hostile Investigator into Thoughtseize, and it was so gross.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
Mind Rot value. Double Mind Rot value right there.
For 5 mana, bruh.
Yeah, 1
Yeah,
less.
even better. Yeah.
Treasure Dredger felt really out of place in this deck. I think I made
Yeah.
1 treasure all night.
I've been pretty thoroughly unimpressed with it. I
Yeah.
don't know that I've been doing it right, but
I feel like it goes in
only-
the Baron Bertram deck or whatever.
Yeah, the tokens deck it definitely goes in, and then the other deck, I had a deck which had Goldvein Hydra and a couple ways to pick it up, and it felt really, really good to just be able to dump all my treasures into a Goldvein Hydra, and then
Yeah.
even if they kill it, you just get them back, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of annoying how all the treasures are tapped. I get it, but they
I
could
believe
have
treasure dredgers are.
Treasure
aren't they?
dredgers aren't tapped.
Yeah,
They aren't?
Goldvein Hydras are.
Gold vein hydras is. That's what.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ruckus Entertainer didn't feel very good in this deck either. That's the 2-mana 2/2 that you can put a counter on things that ETB'd this turn.
Yeah, I don't know about that card. It doesn't
Okay,
sound
that
good.
card is awesome.
It
You
might
do
be
have to know
awesome.
what
I don't
kind of
know if
game it
it's
is, though. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes it's a 2/2 that you just block if you're dying fast and you're the beatdown. But in the grindy games, I have played a turn off tempo for the entire game in order to use Rocko's Entertainer, even when I had the option of just casting a 3-drop, right? Because it was
Yeah.
going to be a long, grindy game. And so I just was willing to play off tempo to get my value. And if they use removal on your 2/2, obviously you're super happy. Right?
Yeah, there was a turn where I delayed a plot to just get max value off of it because I just drew it. I had plotted something.
Yeah, of
And my
course.
game plan was to just run it out, and then the dude, I think he had like a 4/4, and I had Spineless Paladin plotted, and I just delayed it for a turn and played a second creature with it. And got 2 counters off of it, and that helped me win that game for sure. But every other game, it felt super underwhelming. But yeah, that's my deck 3-0.
We were all in different pods, and Joel wasn't even in the pod.
Yep.
So I had nothing to do with that. Just
Yeah, you could have dealt with it anyway.
yeah. So yeah, I had an absolute dumpster fire of a draft, and so I ended up first picking. All right, get ready to roast me, Joel. Deadeye Duelist. I was like, this card just fun. I just want to be unhinged and commit crimes.
The
So
fact that you went 201 with that first pick will never cease to amaze me.
it's incredible. Absolutely incredible. I went Deadeye Duelist, Tyrant Scorn, then 4 deserts in a row. Like 4 deserts in a row. And I was like, I'm so screwed. I'm so screwed. Somebody walked by, picked up my pile, and said, is this your entire pack? Because none of my cards made any sense together. Like I just had a bunch of deserts. I had like complete nonsense. Like I picked up like Nizumi line breakers. Like basically I ended up just with this absurd 5 color pile where my main win cons were just like draining people with Vile Smasher Bird and making a ton of tokens with Silvala and Matter Weaver, Ultrek Matter Weaver, which both make a token whenever you cast a creature spell. So I had a bunch of removal, bunch of really janky fixing, and yeah, Nizumi line breakers, which everyone told me was wrong. But yeah, super ridiculous pile.
The fact that it worked, I don't understand. I've drafted this
Dude,
format a lot,
when
and I
it
look at this
worked,
deck and I'm like, what are we doing here?
it was like one of the grossest things I've ever done in Magic. Like whenever I got out Matter Weaver, Trailblazer, Vile Smasher, Bird, all at once, it was just like the dumbest thing I've ever done. Like I'd play a creature. I would like ping them for like 3 for any creature. If my creature was an outlaw, then I like pinged them for like 4. It just got so absurd. It's so hard to keep track of all the triggers of everything happening. It just got ridiculous. I was mostly just pinging people down though. It wasn't a
I
lot
mean,
of good, fair, honest magic, really.
you do have 6 deserts that ping, like,
Yep.
and a
My
Vile Smasher
mana
and a
base
Raven. Like,
My mana base deals 6 damage, right? Like, which is crazy. Like, and like my mana base also, like, if I have Bird on the battlefield, like Raven of Fell Omens, my mana base deals an extra damage. That's 2 damage, right? It's just hard to deal with all the incidental weird pinging that I'm doing. And like, I also had some games where I just got a ridiculously big green blade. Because I have 8 deserts in my deck, so like, it wasn't the end of the world to get a green blade. And then once I had a green blade, it was super easy to give a trample with like the grizzly. So
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, no, the Green Blade's definitely, it's the mythic uncommon of the set.
Yeah,
Art is
it's super
bonkers.
good in this deck. Especially with 8 deserts. It's absurd. I had a Visage Bandit, and most of the time I was just copying Green Blade. I had a game where I copied Bird, the Raven of Hell Omen, but yeah. It was super
Sick
fun.
copies, brother.
Oh yeah,
Bird. I did Deadeye Duelist one time,
that's
and
so insane.
it was absurd. Yeah, yeah.
If it
Reckless
works, it works, I
Lackey.
guess.
What did Reckless Lackey do for you? Make a treasure?
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah.
It was
We're playing 4 mana, make a treasure, draw a card.
banger. I'd play that. Sometimes it can block
You
too.
just
It can
did.
also
You just
it like
did.
it like games you. It like games you like 5 life too. Let's be real. It
And we're
it
playing
blocks it blocks a
4.
giant thing, a
We're also playing
giant
something.
4, and then it draws you a card and gets you a treasure.
But we also only have like 4.5 red sources for this.
Remember when
Yeah.
Reckless Lackey was the boogeyman and everyone was like, oh my god, this card is going to be so insane? It's just like almost unplayable.
Both that and the coyote that gives something else +1/+1 in haste and has haste, right?
Yeah. Coyote's
We're
good
close
though.
go to those two.
Coyote is not good. Roadrunner is insane though. Roadrunner is actively scary.
The fact that Roadrunner gets the evasion is pretty gross.
Yeah, it's like ginger brew, bro. like
For like 3?
It is very
yeah,
expensive ginger brew.
it is ridiculously expensive, but it's also a 2/2. It's also a 2/2.
And you
that's
can also
super
pump it
good.
with mercenaries really easily, right?
It's
Yeah,
true.
Like,
That is true.
yeah, it's sick. Yeah, this was a unhinged pile, and I ended up somehow going 2-0-1. And I just had one tie. Just so you guys know, my opponent was at 4 life and I was at 39. Like, I had it. It was just slow game.
Yeah.
They were dead on board the next turn, but yep.
yeah,
What can you
that's
do?
unfortunate.
Yep.
Okay, onto a trophy deck I got playing in Mythic Con Arena. This was a bit of a Mardu pile with a lot of cards that are not typically good, right? So like at
Yeah,
knife
it's
point,
tight.
yeah, no, at knife point is not normally the way to go, but Vial Smasher with at knife point is really gross, right?
Yep.
Because you commit a crime, which triggers at knife point, which makes you a mercenary, which triggers Vial Smasher, which deals 1 while committing a crime, right? So it doesn't go infinite because it only triggers once each turn. They do just feed off each other super heavily and deal a bunch of damage, and they all have first strike from the at knife point,
Yep. Which is
right?
gross. A 3/2 first striker is super real.
Yeah.
Especially for 2 mana, right? Like Vile Smasher
That,
is sick.
and it's also going to ping a bunch,
Yep.
right? So the other thing that was pretty gross was bringing back Vial Smasher with Shepherd of the Clouds later. So,
Yep.
eventually they have to deal with it, and then you bring it back. And another card that's typically pretty bad, but was really good in this deck was Baron Bertram Greywater. Um, it's whenever you make a token, you make an additional 1/1 with lifelink, and you can pay 1 and a black, sacrifice an artifact or creature and draw a card, and it's a 4 mana 3/4, right? So it's just kind of understated. It's kind of hard to enable. Normally it's not where you want to be. But I had a lot of ways to make tokens, right? An Outlaws Merriment in there. I had the at knife points, just quite a few different ways, a couple lassoed by the laws. And then on top of that, when he starts going, it just starts absolutely going off because when I started making tokens, I made a lot of tokens. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Ruthless Lawbringer was definitely huge in this deck. I had so much fodder to sack that it was a pretty much just a Flying Tongue Kavu, but it just hits anything, right?
Yeah.
It's like you sack some random 1/1 and, you kill anything. So you can kill their enchantments that exile your stuff, right?
Yep.
I brought back in Outlaws Merriment that got hit by a Lassoed by the Law, right? So there was definitely a lot going on. One of the cards that I think definitely shouldn't have been in this deck, but ended up working out just, bit of lucky variance was Ariet's Lullaby. I think this deck wants to be a bit more aggressive. And, the Ariet's Lullaby, the Outlaw Medic, that's not really where you want to be. But they did save me a couple times randomly. So who knows? But yeah, that was my 7-0 trophy deck.
Yeah, looks sick.
Yeah. That dog looks so much fun.
Oh, it was. The number
It
of
looks
triggers
so
going
sick.
off every turn. I had a time where I had both at knife points out, a Vile Smasher and a Raven of Fell Omens, right?
Yeah. That's my problem with this format is it just feels so good to come times and have it just seeing all the triggers show up on arena and you're like, haha, got
Yeah,
him.
no,
This is the ultimate. This is a super good example of it for sure.
yeah, no, the amount of the dopamine rush when the triggers just all flow onto the stack one
like
after
that That's literally like the only reason I play Magic, right? Like just doing dumb stuff, and it's so awesome. Yeah.
Oh man, I just like turning guys sideways, and this is not the set for me.
Yeah, I don't like turning anything sideways, and I'd rather just sit back and endlessly grind forever. Which is this is the set for me, right? Like I'm starting to learn that you could just infinitely grind in this set.
There is a fair amount of turning guys sideways, though. I'm not
Yeah.
complaining too much.
But
Big
then
guys
whenever you
go
like
against
run
me.
into a deck like this, no amount of turning anything sideways will ever win you the game. Like he's
Oh,
got
it's true.
so many life linkers and like just incidental life linkers and just infinite chump blocks forever. Like it's
If it
so
doesn't have
good.
trample, it doesn't. I don't care. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I had a guy who had 2 armadillos and was swinging with them every turn, and I just chump blocked them every turn for at least 4 turns
That's
because
crazy. Yeah.
I had double
Mhm.
at knife point and a Baron out, and I just committed a crime every turn. One turn I played a Bloodseeker and milled him for 2. Made 2/1/1s, which triggered my Baron to make another 1/1. Right. Different turn. I don't even remember. I played a desert. Made a couple more 1/1s and made another 1/1 off the Baron Bertram. Right. It's like there's just infinite ways to trigger and make jump blockers.
Yeah.
Yep. You're also
Bloodseeker's so
drawing
good.
cards off those
Okay.
jumpers. Ugh.
Yeah, exactly. And then that just fuels you to keep triggering it every single turn.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so dumb. Yeah. Bloodseeker's pretty kind of impressed me a lot. It's kind of a banger for sure.
It is you play 2 mana 2/2 lifelinks. Traditionally you play. This also commits a crime, gives you random graveyard value. Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely take it highly.
Yep. It's pretty absurd with Lazov for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yep. It's like the Lazov enabler. So what do we have next, Ryan?
We're going to talk about our favorite and least favorite uncommon signpost cards. With the caveat, these have to be, the set signpost, not the bonus sheet or anything like that, or random uncommons, or just the signposts. So the dual colored guys. First up, my favorite is Cactus Float Sure Shot. I said this in the pre-set thing, and he just seems insane. Like he has Ward 2, which is massive, and he's just terrifying to play against or with. You drop any creature with power 4 or greater, and that's basically trivial to do. Trample and haste until end of turn. It just puts your opponent on the back foot instantly. And then make your own luck has been really good for me. I mean, it's just so good. Just often is free draw 2. It just skip your
Draw
turn, draw
3.
2.
It's a draw
Well,
3, right?
yeah, but I'm saying like the thing you plot often costs like 4 or 5 mana, right? And then you draw 2 cards off of it. Like Spinewood's Paladin plotted, gain 3 life, draw 2 cards. Like that would be an absurd bomb, and that's basically what make your own
Yeah.
luck feels like a lot of the time.
I've definitely started splashing that and everything. For
Yeah.
sure. Like
Yeah.
it's splashable too. Like it's not that hard to get.
No.
Which
I
random
loved Make Your
treasure.
Own Luck. It was one of my favorite cards. It's still really good, and I know that. But the first time I hit 3 lands off of it felt so bad.
But
Yeah.
imagine if you hit those 3 lands the next 3 turns.
No, because I took the tempo off to cast it because I assumed I'd get it back from plotting instead of playing something else from my hand to catch up, right?
Oh yeah.
And then I
That's
just
rough.
died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
It does feel pretty bad whenever you just hit like a 2-drop and 2
Yeah.
lands, right? Like it does kind of punish you for not being the most greedy.
one of
For
my
sure.
favorite things to do with it is play conduit pylons to set up a card on top of your deck that you want to plot,
Huh.
right?
I never even thought of that.
Like,
Yeah. That
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah. That's super tight.
Yep.
Good tip from Joel.
What do you got, Roby?
All right.
Boo!
I'm getting
Sorry.
ready to get ultra trigger everyone. Okay, so these are just my favorite, and I think they're good. I'm not sure that they're actually probably the top ones. They're for sure aren't. Like according to the stats, everything, for sure not the top cards. But I do think that they're like slightly underrated at this point. Maybe not so much Lazov. Lazov is my first one. I have Lazov, the 3 mana 1/4. Whenever you commit a crime, put a 1/1 counter on him. Then you can exile a card from a graveyard, and it can become a copy of that until end of turn. So it's like graveyard hate. It's getting infinitely big, and it only happens once per turn. But there's like so many silly things you can do with it. It's like a really useful, weird ability.
What card did you call it? Preset?
I called it poor man's invasion of Amonkhet.
You didn't say anything about poor man's. No.
Oh yeah, it's better.
Yeah,
It's a
that's what
one
you
four.
said.
It's a
There
one
you
four.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It feels more like poor man's at this point, but it's still so sick. And there's like so many. It's like definitely like a mega big brain card for sure.
Yeah,
Like
this is
there are things you can do like ping, like figure out a way to like trigger it during your opponent's turn, whether that be like Deadeye Duelist or like any random removal or counter spell, and like just doing that and then exiling a Reacher from their graveyard to like kill a flyer is like so sick. There's just so many crazy things you can do with it.
it's Invasion of Amonkhet at home.
Yep.
It's the only thing that's the same between these two cards is that they both cost one, a blue and a black.
Nah, it does kind of the same thing. You don't get ETB triggers, but like sometimes you just like eat armadillo and just like win on turn 4. Like win on turn 5. Like you just it does so much work. The
To be
fact
fair,
it triggers off lands is
I
crazy.
have had someone I cast back for more, and he had a single black mana up and a Lazav out, and he had the Skullduggery, and he Skullduggery exile my Armadillo that I was trying to get back for more. He has an Armadillo creature now. My attacks are terrible. Game is over.
Yeah. Dude, it's like a big brain card for sure. Like it's definitely not just like you just put Lazav in your deck and it's just inherently good. You got to make it better. You got to know what you're doing with them. But yeah, he's super sick. I still love him. He's still my favorite of this entire set. The next one, I think this is better than people think it is. It's in the worst deck. Okay. Second worst deck. Gem Lightfoot, Sky Explorer. The 4 mana 3/3 flyer with vigilance. At the beginning of your end step, if you haven't cast a spell from your hand, this turn draw a card. I'm not exactly sure where this belongs. Like obviously the obvious thing are like instants and like plotting stuff, but I think it has a home that we haven't completely discovered. It seems pretty good. Drawing an extra card every turn is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I'm not high
Biggest thing
on
with
it.
this one is it dies to all the common removal,
All
right?
of it. Yep.
It takes a
Absolutely.
turn to do anything. There's no ETB,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
then if you do the thing, if everything lines up, best case scenario, you get a 4 mana 3/3 that drew you a card, and it still dies to all the removal. It does have flying and vigilance check, but
Yep.
it doesn't impact the board that much.
It
And that's
doesn't.
Yep.
why I have yet to draft a deck where I've put Gem Lightfoot in. I'm sure there are decks where it belongs, but
Yep.
I just never end up in that style of deck.
You play this on the same turn or even a turn later than they plot Spinewood Paladin, like this does nothing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it doesn't line up. I just like it. And I think eventually we'll figure out some use for it. But
I mean, it's
like
really
these
good
are
if you're both
free.
top decking.
These are
Like you both have
free.
nothing on
These are
board. Yeah.
free at this point too. Like you're never getting any of these other ones for free.
I feel like
Yeah.
people are still taking Jim Lightfoot, but I don't know. I don't know
Well, shit,
why.
free.
Yeah.
And it will be in like a week.
When this comes out, yeah. It
I
will be when
mean,
this comes out.
right now it's still being average last seen at pick 4.68, which is
That's
really
crazy.
early.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's still too early. Yeah.
Like
Yeah, it's definitely not the best, but I like it and I think it has potential.
Yep,
We
that's
just need to
fair.
harness that potential. But
it is a fun card. I'll give you that.
yep, yep.
What do you got, Joel?
For mine, my first one I have Honest Retstein. It's one a black and a green. It's a 3/2 ETB. You get a return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand, and it also makes it so creature spells you cast cost one less to cast. Honestly, if this card had only one of those lines of text, I think I'd still play it, right?
Yeah.
3 mana, 3/2 that picks a creature up, or that just makes my creature spells cheaper, right? Anytime you play this, and then you actually cast instead of plotting your paladin, the 5/4 that gains you 3 life, it feels insane, right? Or you cast anything else ahead of curve or double spell, it just does so much work. And it's a 3/2, right? It's a reasonable body. But then it also just picks something up, right? So a lot of times I'll play a 2 drop, I'll trade it off in combat, I'll play a 3 drop, and on turn 4, I play this, pick up a 2 drop that, traded, and then replay the 2 drop because it only costs one, right? And both in terms of value and tempo, that's just so huge.
Yep.
For
Yeah.
yeah, go on.
It's been very good. Yeah, I've really liked it.
I'll talk about it in a sec.
Fair enough. Yeah. For my other one, I have Vile Smasher, Gleeful Grenadier. So whenever an outlaw ETB is under your control, it deals 1 to target opponent. So it does commit crimes, right? It's already a 2-mana 3/2, which is a pretty reasonable stat line, right? If you're aggressive. And then everything is an outlaw, so you get so many pings off of this.
Yeah, this
So
card is so ridiculously stupid. Like so tight. I love this card. I do love me a Vile Smasher for sure.
Yeah.
The fact it triggers crimes is absurd.
and it's not
Like
limited to once each turn. Yeah.
it isn't, which is so dumb, right? Like it's like the only one of these that isn't limited to once per turn, right?
Yeah. No, I feel like the design team initially it was like a 2-mana 3/2. It was limited to once each turn and it didn't commit a crime. And then they kept being like, but what if we made it better?
So
Because
sick.
yeah, it just is so much work.
Yeah, and it's a 3/2 for 2, which is super good, right? Like that's hella
Oh
good
yeah.
stats.
Yep.
Like we're past the point of 3/1s for 2. We got 3/2s for 2, which is crazy.
There's a 3/1 for 2 in this set. That's insane,
Yeah.
but that's okay.
Yeah, that card is good, but it's not a Vile Smasher. That's for
It's not.
sure.
Next up, we have our least favorite uncommons,
This
and
is
I
where we
got
talk shit on each other.
Lazav, Familiar Stranger.
Yep,
It's been
we
fairly
would say that.
underwhelming. It's too build aroundy. It's just not really where you want to be at. Joel did say something about there being a deck with a ton of deserts, and Demir's supposed to be like 5-color everything. And I could
I'm
see it
getting
being good
there.
in that,
I'm getting there.
but
The big thing, right? If you have Desert Stew, right? Desert Stew commits crimes for Lazav, it's good with that. And it's good with deserts. And then Lazav also wants deserts because it's free crimes, right? And then deserts are also just good because it lets you splash all the colors, right?
Yep.
So if you're
yeah,
gonna be Demir, which you don't really want to be, but sometimes that's what's open, you want to prioritize the deserts, get that stuff, and you have playables already because Demir tends to be pretty open. Black might be contested, but blue has been hella open in my experience.
sure.
Right. So you get the playables, you pick your deserts highly, and then you just splash any bombs that get past you, right? Just
Yeah.
splash everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty good.
And then the other one that I really don't like is Slick Sequence. I just called this in the beginning. It's really bad right now, and it just doesn't seem like it does enough.
Really hard card to actually make work.
Yeah.
I'm gonna disagree with you on that one. I really like Slick Sequence, and I feel like the data supports it. The card has
Yeah.
a 6.2 improvement when drawn. That's insane. That's higher than most bombs. Like so many cards are lower than that.
Yeah.
I think the thing people do is they get tricked into trying to do the archetype on this card instead of just playing it in their random 3 to 4 color decks. And when you can randomly trigger it, and it's just a 2-mana deal 2, right? And it also hits face.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is true.
But the games played win rate is 51%. So the improvement when drawn's good, but including in your deck gives you a pretty suboptimal win rate. So
I have it at 56 for the games played
win rate?
or games drawn.
Games drawn win rate is higher, but just like
Yeah,
putting this in your deck is not good. And 56 is really not good either, honestly.
it's average.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and as far as uncommon signposts go, I think average is pretty subpar.
I mean, sure, I'm not taking it first pick, right?
Yeah.
But I do think people treat it as like, oh, don't get tricked into it. Don't just play it in random other decks, right?
Yeah, like I'm sure it's good in like the, commit crimes, blue, black, red deck, right?
Yeah,
Play
just
something.
kind of the pile decks, right?
Yeah, yeah. But that's why its games play win rate is so low, because it's just, I don't know. It doesn't go in the good decks, I guess. It can be good though, for sure. What do you got, Roby?
So for my bottom 2 uncommon signposts, all right, I'm coming in hot. So remember how I said Lazav was like a big brain, build aroundy, kind of just like cool card? So you might automatically realize that I probably super hate Honest Resting. Because it's like the most simpleton way, like it just does one thing
Two
and
things.
it's just so brain dead to me and not fun. And I just don't like it. I just genuinely don't like it. And I've played it like maybe like 3 times in this format so far. So, and that feels like too many. And my second one, I have Baron Greywater, 4 mana, 3/4, ultra build aroundy,
Way more
kind
big
of
brain than Lazov.
Yeah.
more big
Okay.
brain than Honest Rusting. Not more big brain than Lizov.
Yeah,
Nah.
it is.
If you draft
No,
Baron Bertram, you know how much work it takes.
it
You
does
need
take
so many
more
ways to
work.
make tokens.
It takes
A lot.
like 4 times as much work as Lazov to trigger. Like probably like 4 times more work. And like
But when you make it go off,
and
like
the dream scenario of it going off is like 10 times less cool than Lazov.
no, when this goes off, you play Treasure Dredger on 2, right? You make a treasure on 3 or play a 2-drop, whatever. And then you make a treasure every turn. You sack them to draw cards, and you make a 1/1 every time you make a treasure. I'm okay with paying a mana to draw a card, make a 1/1 lifelink every single turn. Like,
Yeah.
when the engine gets going, it goes.
Yes. I don't know. Lazov's way cooler.
Wrong.
No,
Look at
Yeah,
that
no.
mustache, brother.
that's why he's terrible.
Yeah, you just don't like the mustache.
Yeah.
You have something against vampires?
He looks like a no, I'm good. I'm good. He looks like Leonardo DiCaprio and Django. like not a cool dude. He's definitely not a cool dude.
I can't unsee
Like,
this now.
like definitely not a cool dude. Like
No.
for sure.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to draft him now. I'm just gonna keep seeing Leonardo.
What do you got, Joel?
Mine, my first one's a little bit sketchy. It's Crom, Violent Cacophony. 4 mana,
I'm
2
with
3
you.
flyer, cast your second spell, get a counter draw card. This card can be very good. I'll wholeheartedly admit it. I don't like drafting Is It. I don't like the 2 spells a turn very much. I do like him in like the splashing random 3-color nonsense stuff where you just like plot something on 2 or 3, play him on 4, cast your plotted card, go off. But generally, I feel like you just get trapped into a mediocre deck.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's so weird with this set that like all these signposts on comments, like as much as we're all trashing them, they're all good, but like they aren't all good in the colors they are,
yeah, the
which is
archetypes are a
so
little weird on this
fun.
one.
It's so fun to like play with these cards, like in weird archetypes, like splashing them, and like you just get to go off with that knife point and Baron and stuff. Like there's so much weird, ultra deep, weird, crazy stuff
Yeah.
that we're just scratching the surface of.
It's like the signposts that weren't built around the main mechanics of the set are like quite a bit worse, I feel like, in general, but they can still be like unlocked, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. They all have like crazy high potential, like super high ceilings.
Yeah.
Anytime you do the thing, you do the thing.
Right.
It's so powerful and cool, right? Like it just feels so cool. Like I'm loving this set so far.
Yeah, I'm definitely a big fan of this set.
It's just
Props
so
to the
fun.
designers. They
Yeah,
nailed it.
yeah, yeah.
Eh,
Ryan's a hater. He'll come around.
We'll convert him eventually.
Yeah.
Oh
I
god.
could take it
My
or leave
second
it. Sorry.
You're good. My second one is Wrangler of the Damned. It's the Azorius 5 mana 1/4, and you can make a 2/2 flyer if you don't cast a spell every turn. I have never drafted the Azorius don't cast spells deck. I do not want to. It never feels good. Every time I play against it, it just looks so clunky. You know,
His mega clunk.
you're playing a 5 mana 1/4 with no ETB. What are you doing?
Yeah,
Uh,
Lazav is 3 mana. Like, how could you ever justify this, right? Like,
and I don't justify Lazav. Like, let's be
I
honest
know,
here.
right? Like, it seems like it could be powerful though. Like,
Making a
But
2/2 with firing every turn is pretty
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
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 I did lose a game where a person had 2 of these out against me and there's nothing I could do. Like,
How do you ever
Yeah,
outvalue that? Yeah, they
yeah.
just never
it's
cast a
crazy.
spell all
Yeah,
game.
yeah, it's wild. They're
Yeah, it's like the
flyers still.
it's
Yeah,
like the easiest thing to trigger in Magic. Like
it's so dumb. It's so stupid. It's like even more brain dead than honest resting. Like,
Yes. Yep. Just island go.
Yeah.
Island go. Hey.
I wanna play Azorius so bad because like doing that is so funny. Like just like being rewarded for doing nothing is so
I
cool.
just, I just want some time to first pick a 3 steps ahead and just like lean in,
Just
do the
go
thing, draft
ham, yeah.
Azorius control.
Crabs and stuff. I
Oh
love the
yeah.
crab.
No, I'm thinking my win con's the 3-mana 2/4s for sure.
That
Straight
card's
mill.
sweet. Yeah. No, I've gotten pretty high up to getting a trophy with that guy.
I
That's
mean,
pretty.
at the PT, someone drafted 2 archive traps and went
Yep.
undefeated with mill exclusively. So
Yep.
it can be
It's
done.
a super real thing. Super real thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
I
super real. That's probably
I
hyperbolic.
hey, I'd first pick archive trap in a
Yeah,
lot of
it's good. It's
packs.
super good. Yeah,
Card can do work.
for sure. It's so much easier to mill in 40 card formats. Yeah.
It really is. You can just kind of do it by accident sometimes.
Yep. I've milled people out in non-mill decks in this format. Yeah. Just like sometimes like you just grind forever and you having two of the 2/2 life linkers just like wins you the game. like just milling them for 4 kind of like in the ultra do nothing grindy game that could just win you a game.
I've
Like
never played a game like that in this set.
because you don't build
See,
decks like
yeah, you're
me.
drafting it wrong then.
Yeah.
Like,
You know, just like you have decks that just try to do one thing, and I have decks that try to do one thing, and my one thing is just not die. You know, like, and sometimes if you just don't die and you've milled them twice for 2, you just win.
yeah, Ryan,
Yep.
you're doing it wrong. Why would you win when you cannot lose?
Yeah, it's way cooler.
100% effective. The best offense is a good defense, baby.
Exactly.
Nah,
60% of the time it works every time.
nah, the best defense is a good defense. like for sure.
We don't play offense over here.
Yeah, the none. Very little, for sure.
When does Modern Horizons come out?
I think we've got a couple months.
I'm excited for that too, but I'm sure we're just gonna drop that like 2 times. But
Yeah.
It's an
I,
expensive set, but it'll be fun.
if you haven't drafted a Modern Horizon set, like they're so fun. Like some of my favorite all-time formats. Like so much fun to play those formats.
I'm gonna be honest, I've been playing Magic for, I don't know, about 9 months, and I was playing on Moto, and I was like, and there was a MH2 like flashback draft. I was like, you know what, I'll try it. I've heard good things. And I got absolutely dumpstered, and it was the worst play experience of my life.
Really?
That is the only time I've drafted a Modern
That
Horizon
is
set.
a ultra Robi set. That is like a you can do absolutely nothing. Hard evidence is sick. like like the make a O4 crab. That's a whole archetype. Like you could literally have a crab deck. That's
I
like
played against, yeah, 2 different
absolutely crap.
Chatterfang decks that just ran over me.
Chatterfang's stupid for sure. Yeah.
Like, yeah,
It's so fun though. I love that
I've heard
set.
very good things. Yeah, I'll probably have to try it again at some point.
Yeah. Affinity's a thing. Yeah. It's just fun. Yeah. So, Ryan, what's our superfecta this week?
All right. This week's Superfecta, we're doing a top 4 must get items every time you go to the grocery store. Also,
Which ones we get the most, right?
yeah. Number 1, my wife like literally gives me shit about this every time because we always have some at home, but I get it every time, no matter what. At this point, it's kind of a meme. I get tortilla chips every time. I have to have them. I have to have a new bag of tortilla chips ready to go.
That's hilarious.
You never know when you need them.
All right, I'm gonna go with probably the item I buy the most of by weight: bananas. I buy like literally 5 pounds of bananas like every 3 days. Just a ton of bananas. Just eat them constantly. What do you got,
Okay.
Joel?
I'm gonna go with cereal. I love my cereal. You don't eat it in the
What?
morning, you eat it as
What
a
type?
midnight snack.
What type?
Krispex. Krispex
Huh?
for sure.
That's such a weird pick. I don't even know what that
Crispix?
is. I
Bro,
don't even know what that is. What is
me
that?
neither.
It's these two-sided hexagons where one side is like corn and the other's like rice. It's so good.
It's like
I'm telling
Chex,
you.
right?
Kind of, yeah.
Is that not
It's
like
like
a chip? Is it a chip?
oh, it's like
Mm,
the Chex, like the corn Chex and the rice Chex combined.
But combined and so
Yeah,
much
yeah.
better combined.
That's so weird. I didn't
You
even know that
Also,
was a
I'm
thing.
telling you, the mouthfeel, the hexagons is way better. The shape matters.
We need to make a sick
That's so
snack
weird.
mix.
It's like eating oyster crackers, which I love. I love oyster.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have a
Like,
problem
I'm
eating
sure
oyster
this
crackers?
cereal is fire. I've never even heard of that.
There's no. So do you ever eat this just in a bowl with milk?
Where do you even get this? I've
Yes.
never even seen this in my life.
They're at like Walmart or like Aldi's. I've
Yeah,
seen
it
a bunch
says
of
on
places.
Walmart. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I will get milk. To be fair, the last time it was 3 a.m. I'd just gotten done studying, and I was like, screw it. I feel like some Crispix, and I drove 20 minutes to the store, got milk and Crispix, and it was worth it.
Oh
It was a
my
good time.
goodness.
That's hilarious.
Are you based in Britain? It's all about peanut butter Captain Crunch, brother.
So you go again, Ryan.
Nah.
We'll just go back around. We don't need to do it that way.
We always do it snake. If we're
Okay,
keeping it
do
alive, we're doing
snake
it
way.
correctly.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, if I'm doing another one, I get Monster Energy drinks.
Okay.
The Rio Punch, it's the best.
Okay. What do I get the most of at the grocery store? Bananas is for sure number one. Number two, beans. Like I buy a ton
Beans.
of like beans. Like it can like a legume in a can. I get canned beans. So usually like black beans, pinto beans, or like garbanzo beans. But like any variation of those, I get a ton of those.
Yep. My next one is like the same vein as the first one I said. I always have to have it on deck. It's just so good to make leftovers out of. It's just tortillas. Like if you have random leftover meat, you can make something fire with a tortilla. Period. I always have to have tortillas.
Tortillas are fire.
Yeah, just like a
I
random
could get behind that.
quesadilla. Hell yeah.
I'm on the corn ones though. Is it your turn
Really?
again? Yep.
No,
Go ahead.
I'm on flour. I'm strictly flour.
Yeah.
The other thing that I just always use because I'm super unhealthy is just I go to Sam's and I get the 4-pack of each 4 sticks of butter. Like, gotta have the butter, brother. I'm all about it.
I'll go with corn tortillas, but I usually get those from like the Mexican grocery store, and they have them in like the cooler, and they're like fresh and warm. Those are like the best ever. My favorite.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna have to go with milk to go with the cereal.
Okay.
It
Okay.
it's very necessary. Milk and cereal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's see, one more. Salads.
Oh,
Like,
that's good.
Oh,
yeah.
you just buy the salads, or you buy
I
like the stuff to
the,
get
the
the make
pre-made
the
ones are
salad?
pretty mediocre and they're more expensive. I will
Yeah.
occasionally if I feel lazy. But
Bro,
I
the
get like a whole bunch
Sam's
of
one,
different stuff that goes into salad.
the Sam's one is like so cheap. Yeah, I get it every time too. It's like $1.47 for a bag of salad that you can like eat for over a week.
Dang, that's nice. Okay, I might
Yeah.
have to. I haven't had that one. I'll have to go get there.
It's a huge bag. Like you can't even get a head of lettuce for the same price. It's insane.
Dang, yeah.
For mine, next, this is my last one, right? Or do I have one more after this?
It's your last one.
I'm gonna say soy milk. That's my favorite of the milks. I like
Soy
the soy
milk?
milk. It's my
Yeah.
favorite. It's kind of dank. It's a little funky tasting. Definitely not for everyone, but I buy a ton. Put it in my
go with-
oatmeal. Yep.
To go with the butter, I'm gonna have to say popcorn. But you can't get the shitty popcorn that you use in the microwave. You have to get just the kernels. You pop them shits on the stove. Oh, it's so good.
Have you ever had Jiffy Pop?
I have not.
It's fire. It's like
Jiffy
that.
Pop is awesome.
Jiffy
you gotta
Pop
try Jiffy Pop.
rules. Yeah.
In the microwave?
No, you make it over the
No.
stove. It'll mess your stove up. Like it will definitely mess your. I know it most from camping. Like
Yeah.
we usually get Jiffy Pop, and it's like a little tin. It's like a little pan, and it pops up, and like it like blossoms out into like a giant thing of popcorn. It's awesome. Do they still make it, Joel? Do you know about it? Yeah.
I don't.
know
I've
about
had it
it,
for a
yeah.
long time. I had it years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah, rules. Strongly recommend.
Yeah, that's basically how I just make my popcorn with a pan.
Yeah, but this is like more convenient, right?
Yeah.
I mean the other one's
It's more
pretty
for
easy,
like
but yeah.
it's more for like camping
Outdoors,
usually.
yeah.
Yeah, it's super cool though. But yeah, I think that's all we got for this week.
Yep, we'll catch you boys on the flippity flop.
Bye.
Oh, I gotta end the thing.
Joel, we're waiting.
Yeah, you're gonna be waiting for the long ass time.